Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Mates TV. I am so excited to do this show today. The Wear It Real campaign got in touch and said, do you want to talk about fake World Cup kits? Do you want to interview England captain and Tottenham centre forward Harry Kane? Do you want to do that, Paul? And I said, yes. Yes, I do. Because who wouldn't? What an exciting time to be alive.
You know I'm not Harry Kane, right?
Wait, what? I thought I was meant to, we've got like a script of questions for him. Well, okay, well look, we'll blush. I'm sure it's all gonna work. Look, we'll carry on. It'll be fine. Thanks so much, Harry. Yes, right, so we're gonna be looking at, we've got an England shirt that is official. We've got an England shirt that is fake, and obviously we've got a whole array of other World Cup and Scotland shirts there as well. Some of the main issues that we found around this, and one of the things that was really highlighted to me, and one of the things I'm quite passionate about, football shirt collectors, the main issue that you find in amongst this is we're seeing a rise on people collecting football shirts, people who are seeing football shirts accrue in value. I adore old football shirts, and there's something about them that where, you know, the shirts from the 90s are worth so much more than they were at the time. They become real collector's editions. One of the main issues I've discovered with the fake stuff is simply real becomes retro and fake doesn't. You know, if you're looking to create a football shirt collection, it's not going to happen with a fake shirt. And obviously you've got things like, look, and not to play it down in any way, shape or form, but like human rights issues. You know, if you want a football shirt that's being made by lots of underpaid or in instances not paid people in horrific working conditions, then that's one of the knock-on impacts of having it. We're all very well aware, of course, of, you know, cost being a major issue. And that is a huge trigger point for some people. And that will be an immovable trigger point for some people. But I thought it was interesting to have the conversation around what is real and what is not, and why that's an important thing as well. Before we dive into the next thing, we've got our first question. Harry, what is it like to lead England out at Wembley Stadium?
I wouldn't know. I'm not Harry Kane.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's pretty inspirational, but I wouldn't know. You
would imagine that, wouldn't you? That would be, yeah. I could imagine that, I guess. Yeah, that one doesn't work. Okay, fine. Anyway, let's have a closer look then at the England shirt. So, Harry, if you don't mind, would you just grab this one and I'll grab this one. And look, the immediate thing that I want to ask people watching at home right now, at a glance, in the comments, let me know which is the real and which is the fake. So just write left, right, and then put real, fake next to it. At a glance, if you had to say which one was the real one, because, and all honesty, on this one, we got them out of the packets, and at a glance, you couldn't tell, because if you, let's say you didn't actually know the specifics of the shirt, it is very difficult to differentiate. It's only when you start to get into the details. So, as an example, on this one, which, spoilers, thank you for getting your answers in without fast forwarding the video and cheating, this one is the fake one. The England badge is just, the colour of it is just not quite right. So if I can hold up the real one alongside, it's a very subtle thing. There's a little bit more shine to the blue of the lions on it, and the white is slightly more discoloured on the fake one as well. And one thing that wasn't part of the brief for this, by the way, but is a happy accident of us opening the packet, is this one is absolutely filthy. So yeah, I mean, it does genuinely look like I've been performing slideys in this one, okay, but it's not the case. It's got loads of random dirty marks on, and that is literally how it came out of the packet. You know, in general terms, look, it's got all the elements. It's got this, you know, the kind of embossed bit on the neck. It's got the one star, which was obviously added to the shirt. Yeah, great. It's got the tick. They're all there. They're all the right ways. The days of like one stripe instead of three are gone. You know, you're not getting those in these kind of levels. They are sophisticated, but there's flaws to them. And one of the ones I want to draw attention to, yes, the coloration of the badge, yes, the fact that it looks like a child has rolled down a hill in it, but also a couple of things. So in terms of the colour on the neck, this is quite a subtle thing, but again, the navy of it is just slightly off. If we hold them sort of side by side, back right there, so you can see that. It's a subtle difference, but it's a difference. The colour isn't right on that. It's more faded. And Harry, if you don't mind, can we just pull here to here? this bit, in fact, this bit on the front, you'll see the colour fades a little bit under pull, which effectively says that the dye job isn't very good. The material that it's been using, the colours used to dye it aren't as good, which also says if you bang that in the wash a couple of times, if you think the colour's wrong now, a couple of washes away, it will be far, far worse. The biggest point, and the one that I've noticed on a lot of the fake Nike shirts this season, because of how the stitching is done on the collars, is this right here, and I think we can get a little close up. The loose stitching already on the collar, again, literally straight out the packet. There's 2 loose threads on the top here, which can happen on real shirts. It can do, manufacturing is manufacturing. But when you compare as well how the back piece is stitched into the actual main shirt itself. So Nike shirts have got this like sort of almost like concertina effect on the back. But the way it's added to the shirt this time around, so if we can get it closer, that's the real one. Now there is a little kind of like bump almost in how the back section is attached. It's well more pronounced on the fake one. And what that leads to when you're wearing them, it leads to like more neck gaping, which, if you're a man who doesn't have chest hair and wants chest hair, you're going to be showing a lot of bald chest. If your man has got too much chest hair, which I'm sure we can relate to, then, it's David Hasselhoff Fest, basically, 2022. And that's, it might be a thing, it might not be a thing, but it's certainly something to consider. What we're going to do, we're going to perform our next test in a moment. Fuck, where's me fucking... Where I put my bastard? I'm going to perform an impromptu strength test on this one in a second, shall we say. I've not pre-checked if we can do this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. But we do have our next question. Harry, what is it like to be the hero of Tottenham fans the world over?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, would you? No, wouldn't know. Wouldn't know. Great, press on. Right, what we're going to do, and I'm hoping this one works. So I think this stitching is dodgy. So what I want you to do, maybe hook a finger in here and hook a finger in there. And I want you to pull that as hard as you can, Harry. Like it, wow. Yeah, there you go. That works better than I'd hoped it would possibly work. And just out of interest, and I really hope this works out because this is a much more expensive football shirt. Yeah. No tearing at slight pulls. So again, if you're a person who's either got an oversized head, or you've got a very active child, or you're going to play football in them, moreover, what you're going to end up is basically coming home in rags. And particularly for someone who plays like Harry, who likes to get into physical confrontations, he's basically coming home topless, which, I'm sure we can all appreciate in some way, shape or form, but that is the reality of where we're at. Right, let's take a quick look at the Wales stuff as well, because again, it applies both ways. And that what I've got here right now, that is an official Wales home shirt. It is a bit creased. That's more to do with how we keep them than the actual quality of the ones itself. Harry, you've got the fake one there. And again, it's another example of, on the surface, it's okay, but what you get again is a variety of things that just, it's all in the stitching for me in these things, and again in the longevity and how they're going to last and how many washes these are going to survive. Some of them are better than others, but again, I'm going to try not to accidentally stroke you there, Harry. But it's another one, again, literally fresh out of the packet, and it's got oil stains on it. One of those points on that as well is, your kit might look spot on. You know what, bang it in the wash, fine. But if you then bang that in the wash because you've been forced to, or you put something on that to try and get the stain out, and it then damages or discolours the shirt, who are you sending it back to? You're not sending it back to a legitimate manufacturer who will have one sent out to you again, or replace or apologise. There are no right to return in these kind of environments. So therefore another thing to consider. Look, I know how it is. I do. And I can't sit here and suggest that the world where football shirts are costing £100 and kits are costing increasingly more on a year-by-year basis is not a thing. It's not an admirable thing about how football's gone in any way, shape or form. We love football kits, and there's an appreciation for, in some regards, that they're getting closer and closer. But the reality is, when you're buying a fake shirt, people will set what they want from this. To some people, this won't matter, and that's absolutely fine. But the money you spend on your shares is not going to your club and it's not going to your FA, which means it then can't go down to things like your academies or to player purchase or grassroots football or whatever and all that kind of stuff. That's a major button for some people. It might not be for other people. The money will be the big drawing point for some people on this. But ultimately, if you want to wear a football shirt, if you're a football shirt collector, then you're not adding value to your collection by buying fake football shirts. There's tons of football shirt valuers now who spot these things a million miles off, and you're basically buying something that is effectively, it's disposable clothing. If that's cool for you, that's cool for you, of course. But that's a huge button for someone like myself. And of course, as mentioned, there's all kinds of horrendous environments that these kind of things are being constructed in. And the money, if it's not going to football clubs and football associations, and some people might see that as a benefit, it's certainly not going to good people. It's going to criminal organisations, and it's going to people who don't want to make better working conditions for the people who are in the environment making these shirts. These are not coming out the back of the legitimate factories. These are being made in other sites, other less safe sites, and other sites that aren't being overwatched as well. So yeah, ultimately, what I'm kind of driving at here is sometimes things can look just like the real deal, but ultimately only the real deal is the real deal. So make sure that you wear real. It's as simple as that, yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Harry.
No problem.
It's been an insightful insight into your career. Great. Leave us your thoughts in the comments section underneath. Is there anything else you'd like to see? Any questions you want to ask about the kits or whatever, particularly in the details or the fit or whatever, let me know in the comments section underneath. And for more info on that, do search up Wear Real as well. Thank you so much for joining us. All the best.